Okay, then how do I, how can I be like Jesus and heal that leper with my son, who is not a leper? But I guess what I'm trying to find out is how can I use the art of allowing to
Well, you see, already you're crossways of it, because you're already doing something Jesus would never do. You've fixated on some flaw or some ailment or some insufficiency, and that is the way that you introduce all of us to your son. In other words, you've given us all a very clear impression that he's broken in some way, which means you're already doing the opposite of what Jesus did, because Jesus never allowed himself to see what was broken. Instead, he let the broken part identify what is wanted, and he gave his undivided attention to what is wanted. So what is it that your son wants to be? What do you want for your son? What desire is born out of what you've been watching?
Well, I try to, what I would like my son to be is, what I would like him to be is more honest. And that is what...
But you see, it's tricky, because you say, I want my dishonest son to be more honest. And we say, well, you've got to get honest activated in your vibration. And you say, well, I would if he'd be honest. Mm-hmm. We say, no,
right.
If you're going to lead him, you've got to see him as you want him to be, not as you perceive him to be. You know what's really tricky about this honest stuff is that everybody is dishonest to some degree. Mm-hmm. And as we watch you all, we notice that you have such good motives for your dishonesty. In other words, especially between sons and mothers, right. Often right. Your mother says, please don't tell me that you're doing what I think you're doing, or some version of that, and they say, okay, I won't tell you. In other words, that is the basis of so many parent-child relationships. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so what you want to do, and the agreement that you have with this one, think about it. If you're looking at him in his dishonesty, you feel bad. Mm-hmm. And if you look at him in his honesty, you feel good. And then you say to him, my happiness depends on something you do. So I'm holding you responsible for the way I feel. Don't let me down.
See, that is the hardest thing as a parent, because I do find that how I feel depends on how well my son is doing. And I try very hard to, meditate and visualize and put forth positive
energy. Well, now,
energy.
there's not anything wrong with that, because there isn't anything that a parent wants more than the well-being of their child.
Right.
And you've spent a lifetime together identifying what you want that to be. And so there may not be a subject in your vibrational escrow that is more active or that you've spent more time adding to than that one. In other words, you've got huge wanting relative to that. And the inner being part of you has become what you want. But when you find something in your son that causes you to see him not as you have become relative to him, but in opposition of that, then you feel bad. And that's your guidance saying you're seeing him as he is, not as you want him to be, or not as you have become, or not as the two of you have become together. You will teach each other conditional love. In fact, we see it in so many parent-children relationships. What your children want to say to you is, please don't hold me responsible for your happiness. Mm-hmm. And parents do that all the time. The child comes in feeling all vital and alive, and the parent is already beaten down some and worried about this and worried about that. And so the child learns deception at an early age, because the child can't be free apart from deception, because you're so fixated on so many things that you think are wrong that they know aren't wrong. Parents force their children into deception because the parent insists on telling it like it is and insists on facing reality. And the child is still more forward-looking. The child is still more understanding about energy flow. And so then when you say, I'm going to hold you to the details of your life, you must tell it like it is, a new child will say, vibrationally, they're not speaking yet, don't ask me to see the world through your warped, disconnected eyes. I've been sent with fresh new eyes. I see it differently. And the thing that is so interesting is when you see it one way and someone else sees it another, every time you call each other wrong. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen eyewitness accounts where 2 or 3 or more people see the same thing? Esther could not believe the way the majority of this nation saw the Rodney King beating. She could not believe that they saw it the way they saw it, when with her own eyes she saw what she saw. She could not believe that they could be so wrong about something. And we say, you can't decide whether somebody's wrong or not because you do not know the perspective through which they have looked. You see, the only thing you know is whether you're in alignment with you. The only thing you know is if you're seeing your son same as or different than the source within you sees your son. And if you're worried, you're seeing it different. If you're loving, you're seeing it same. If you're praising, you're seeing it same. If you're criticizing, you're seeing it different. If you're loving, you're seeing it same. If you're worried, you're seeing it different. So you don't want your son to behave in ways to train you into knee-jerk responses. You want to get so good at your selective sifting that you are able to see your son as your life together has caused you to become. And when you do, oh, will he ever love being around you? He'll say, Mom, you uplift me. You inspire me. You make me want to show you the best of me. You make me feel safe. You make me feel that I can be open with you. You make me unafraid to make a mistake. You make me feel flexible. You make me feel free to be who I am. You make me want to strive to be more. You provide a nucleus that makes me want to aspire to all that I can be. But when you see him flawed, he says to you, you make me want to run away from you. You make me want to deceive you. You make me want to make you see me as you want to see me because I care about how you feel. And if you see me through those disappointed eyes, then I try to get you to see me through different eyes, you see.
But what do you do with those disappointments? I mean, when your child does come to you and lies, I mean, how do you deal with that? How do you...
The first thing we would do, if someone lied, and everyone does to us, if someone lied, we would say to ourselves, what is it that they really want? Because we know that everything that everyone wants, at the heart of everything that everyone wants, whether it's a material object or a relationship, at the heart of it is a desire to feel better. So, if someone tells you a lie, and you know that it's a lie, and you stop and you say, what is the motive for this lie? If you will feel deeply enough, every time you will discover the motive for the lie is to affect a situation that will cause me, mother in this case, to feel better about what I see. Jerry and Esther have a difference of opinion about a lot of things, really. And one of them is the way they hook the tow car up to the monster bus before they drive away. Esther likes to get right out in a nice, straight, open place, hook it all on, pull it forward, get everything locked in, check the lights, and off they go. And she likes to be in an open place so that there's no question that she can make her turns dragging all of that apparatus with no problem. Jerry likes to hook it up wherever it is and see if he can use his ingenuity to work it out. And 9 times out of 10, his ingenuity works. It's only occasionally that they get in a jam where they have to unhook everything and start over again. So Esther is always looking for a wide open space, and Jerry is just looking for the fun. And Esther is sitting in the monster bus, and she realizes as she is starting the engine and getting it warmed up, she turns on the rear view monitor, and she realizes the car is already hooked onto the bus. And they're in a campground with trees here and here, and picnic tables here, and sewer outlets on the ground below. It's a very complicated place. There are trees to watch overhead and things, and Jerry has been outside walking around, and he has convinced himself that they can do it if they are careful. And Esther is sitting behind the seat thinking, how in the world could we ever manage this? Esther is thinking, I would so much rather be out where there is no risk. And Jerry is thinking, isn't it fun to find out how creative we can be? So Esther has her walkie-talkie, and Jerry is out on the ground, and he is guiding her. And Esther begins to laugh as she catches herself right in the middle of this powerful thought. I hope it doesn't work. Because she realizes that she would rather be right, which even more important makes him wrong, than she would like life to go well. And we say, what is it that has put you in this distorted and false sense of competition with one another? In other words, it's possible that you could all have different opinions and you could all be right. Because the universe has infinite paths in which it can bring you to the results that you want. There are not only two choices, you see. And as Esther realized that she would rather be right, or at least she thinks she's right, she would rather be right, but by what criteria? If she's looking for the easiest way, then everyone would agree that she's right. If she's looking for the most exciting way, then Jerry would be right. If she's looking for the most time-efficient way, then Jerry is usually right. If she's looking for the surest way, then Esther would be right. But there are a lot of different ways that you can look at different things. And to decide that I'm right, which means you must be wrong, is the flaw of all flaws, you see. And yet it's what so many of you feel. And the reason you feel it is because deep down within you is this powerful desire to be good and to be well. You've got this powerful stream. You've got this inner being that's saying to you, you are good and you are worthy, constantly offering that vibration to you. We don't wonder that many of you have come to the conclusion that you're right. And the flaw in your reasoning is, if I'm right, then somebody who doesn't agree with me must be wrong. And that is a flaw. Because just because your Esther is right about the easiest way to do it doesn't mean that Jerry is wrong about his perspective in the same, you see. And if Esther cared more about feeling good, then she would have much more fun in the process of all of this. In other words, it is great creative fun. They've been driving this big old bus now, some version of it, for over 6 years now. And every day it gets more fun. But there is never a day that there's not some new adventure for them to become more in the midst of. You're not looking for life to become simpler and plainer. You're looking for it to become more advanced, more for you to dive into, more for you to enjoy and evaluate, more for you to become, you see. And so, when you find your son behaving in a way that you don't feel so good, don't ask him to be different, because that's what makes you powerless. And it's your powerlessness that makes you so mad at him.
Right.
Where if you could say to him, I no longer hold you responsible for the way I feel, I'm responsible for the way I feel, and I have the ability to move you around in my mind and find your most positive aspects. And son of mine, I'm going to love you unconditionally. But most parents are not even close to saying, I love you unconditionally, because they want to control the behavior of their children through conditions. This condition will make me love you, but that condition will not make me love you. So if you want me to love you, then you'd better do what I say. And their inner being is saying, no, please don't do what she says. Please listen to your own guidance. There is a trap in trying to please somebody outside of you. First there will be your mother, and then there will be your teachers, and then there will be your spouse, and then there will be this one and this one and this one. And before you know it, you won't know which way to go, because you will have lost sight of the guidance that is always constant within you, you see. So your son says, Mother, I'll tell you whatever you need to hear if it'll make you feel better. And you say, don't lie to me. And your son, if he's really on his game, will say, then don't ask me stuff that's none of your business. Don't ask me stuff that's none of your business. If we were children, that's what we'd be saying to our parents. And nothing about my life is your business enough that I should try to cater to you. I got enough just sorting through stuff. I've got enough giving birth to who I am. I've got enough vibrationally feeling the vibe of who I really am. I'm trying to listen to the voice that is coming forth from within. Don't ask me to answer the voice that is coming forth from without, you see. And so, if you are a mentor who is really caring about your child or about anybody, what you're wanting to guide them toward is your understanding that you are source energy in a physical body and that you have vibrational points of relativity, and you're wanting to demonstrate downstream thoughts, downstream thoughts, downstream thoughts, downstream thoughts. And there are some who would say, oh, Abraham, if everybody listened to you and mothers didn't hold their children to any standard, then children would just go berserk. And we say they go berserk because they've got pillows pressed to their face, not because they have lost sight of their own guidance.